worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time. Season 2.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Worst Idea of All Time, starring me, Tim Batt.
And myself, Guy Montgomery. We have just watched the atrocity that is Sex and the City 2 for the 23rd times in our human lives.
It's so bad, Guy. It's so... first of all, we should, before we get too ahead of ourselves, we should explain the situation. And the situation is this.
I think we've done it pretty efficiently. We've watched Sex and the City 2 23 times, Tim. I took the liberty of running the maths during the film today.
No, hold on. I mean the fact that we're on opposite sides of the world. People don't know that.
Yeah, well, they do now. You know, we
just watched the movie independently, like in silence by ourselves.
That's right. You think you've seen this movie... You think the movie is long when you have company. You haven't lived until you watch this movie by yourself.
It was so fucked, man. Michael Patrick King is a fucking maniac, and he needs to be stopped.
He has been, as far as I know. But yeah, I mean, his lunacy was peaking out around 2010. Tim, we've spent 2.3 days of our lives just watching the movie.
I love it.
Almost 56 hours.
Jesus Christ.
And do you know what's almost more insulting? We've spent half a day, which means at least 12 hours, or we will have by the end of this, 12 hours talking about it.
I regret nothing. Except for maybe the choice of film. But it's just, can you imagine the fucking storyboard on this thing? Like, this is the first time I've managed to take a step back, because usually we have a bit of banter throughout the film and whatnot, takes the edge off of things. But to just, like, experience this movie as a movie by yourself is fucked. This film is so silly.
Sing it, baby!
Guy, I haven't literally ever seen such a shambolic attempt at making a movie. It's just a collection of things. I've seen Grown Ups 2 52 times. This is I think you're qualified.
Film. Yeah, and indubitably. The fact of the matter is, Tim, I was a very numerical based watch for mine. All the way up until an hour and 30 minutes into the movie, there are no stakes beyond a vague argument that Carrie and Big have had. There's literally nothing at stake. A movie, like any other movie, sets up and resolves conflict in that amount of time. Yeah,
I'm with you, man. Like, it's so stupid. This movie is about nothing at all.
It's not until Carrie gets a bad review of the shitty book she's written, and like suddenly everything supposedly crumbles. So you'd think, but by the end of the movie, no lessons are learned. Nothing's changed. Like
we haven't grown. We haven't learned anything. The mistake that she makes, which is pashing another guy despite the fact that she's married, gets resolved by her husband buying her a fucking diamond ring, which not only just strengthens this horrible consumerism that permeates the entire film, but rewards this fucking harpy for bloody pashing some ex-boyfriend when she's overseas on a trip that she got from her friend, because karma doesn't exist, Guy. Karma doesn't exist. The universe isn't fair.
The bow that they try and wrap this package of feces up in, like, it's pretty much comprised exclusively of pubic hair, fucking nail clippings, and I don't know, like vials of sweat to strengthen this horrible package, pretty much. So they leave Abu Dhabi, right? And you can see Michael Patrick King just throwing shit against the wall, hoping that everyone will remember from 2 days ago when they started watching the movie that there was stuff which vaguely related to what he's putting together at the end. So Carrie lifts her, it starts when Carrie lifts up she reveals her leg to hail a cab, right? When they need to get to the airport. Otherwise, they won't fly first class. What a disaster that would be. And then when they drive off in the cab, so it's like, oh, that's right, that happened, a year ago when I was born. And then there's a poster for Heart of the Desert, which is the same vague attempt to like at least allude to the fact that there's like it's all, you know, the 10 years you've spent watching this movie have all happened in the same realm of time, in the same galaxy. There's Charlotte, Charlotte finds out that she didn't need to be worried that whole time she was in Abu Dhabi because guess what? Her nanny was a lesbian. Miranda, she gets hired for a banging job where everyone's like, oh my God, this lady is amazing. And it's fucked. Big didn't pick
It's absolute lunacy, guy. There's no justice in this world where this movie could exist. Like, to take it on a more meta scale, there's no justice in this world where this movie could exist and people could get paid lots of money for making it and putting it together. And there's no justice within the universe they create in the world of the film because these horrible, wretched, fucking awful, deplorable human beings are going around with their awful, wretched lives, and they at no point have encountered any resistance that the universe would normally put up to any kind of usual biological being that is this harmful for the rest of the environment or herd. Like, basic Darwinism would have taken these motherfuckers out of the food chain by now, such as their stupidity and evil.
I know. The one moment where I was... there's moments littered throughout the film where I'm busting for a different offer. I say this every week, which is evidence of how far down the fucking rabbit hole we've gone. But, like, when Aiden picks up Carrie, when they see each other for the first time, and he gives her a big hug, and then she's like, is this legal? All I want is for Aiden to say, absolutely not, and then just police officers raid the hug and arrest her, and they take her away, and they round up the friends, and they get executed for this fucking offensive behavior. Like,
how amazing would that be?
Oh!
That's a movie, though. What you're describing is a movie. It's... So, Interstellar, I watched it again over the weekend, right? Call me crazy. I'm a sucker for that film. That takes place over roughly the same amount of... In fact, it probably is almost identical amount of screen time. And in that, it spans like over a century and like taking humans off of planet Earth.
And worse yet, this movie doesn't even, like, it didn't even pause to consider how long exactly it was meant to... Like, there's no consideration for timeline. They're all over the shop. Supposedly, they're only holidaying in Abu Dhabi for a week.
Yeah, I heard that for the first time as well today. It's like, wait a minute, what? A week? No.
It's just... it's just... And the thing is, Tim... We might have watched it 23 times. We haven't even scaled. We're not even halfway to the South Pole yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's depressing. I'm so angry at the film. I'm so mad at it. It's so awful.
Okay. Well, this might be a good time then to try and temper. I mean, we're both coming in piping hot with serious aggression to temper.
No, I'd say we keep... No way, no tempering. Let's ride the rage train for a little bit more.
Well, this is it's part of the rage train, but it's also I enjoyed it in that when when Samantha gets snapped for having sex on the beach. Come on, everybody tonight. Oh, well, I really like that they go back to the hotel room and she's like, "Where's Abdul? Like, where are the butlers?" This week was the first time when I observed that they just bounced. I mean, it's sort of suggested that maybe Carrie and Garon, like, supposedly have formed some sort of bond, but even he's like, thank fuck that I've been dismissed from awful harpy duty. I'm going to go and, like, masturbate in a toilet cubicle to graffiti. Just do anything except spend more time around these people. I found it so satisfying to know that, I don't know if Michael Patrick King did this knowingly, almost definitely not, that the butlers were just like, fuck it, just dropped their shit, whatever they were doing, and bailed. Good on them. I wish we could do the same.
The funny thing is I think the filmmakers, or rather filmmaker, Michael Patrick King, he thinks that we, the audience, are like on board with the girls, but the closest thing we have to an audience surrogate in this movie are the literal servants that are waiting on them hand and foot in the Middle East, who are earning like pennies an hour. That's my in for the movie. That's who I can gravitate towards the most and go, your life is the most similar to mine.
Yeah.
They're so unrelatable. Like, so Zoe, my girlfriend, was here watching the first bit of the movie with me because she felt so bad that I was so tired and I had to sit through the movie again by myself. So God bless her. She was in there for the first half hour, 45 minutes.
What an angel.
She lost her shit, man. She could not handle this film whatsoever. She was giggling at just repetitively commenting on how nothing makes sense. How all of the costumes are bizarre. She could not contain herself at the first appearance of Carrie's hat in the wedding, the crown that we always mock. She was just what the hell is that?
The giggling from Zoe is almost masochistic in a sense, because I imagine, yes, like, if she was just watching the movie as a punter, it would just be disgust, outrage, and being upset. But watching the movie in the context of knowing her boyfriend has watched it 22 times and will watch it like another 29 or whatever. That is hysterical.
Yeah,
I guess, and if you look at
a number of times,
yeah, and if you look at it as her being a surrogate for anyone listening to the podcast, I guess that's the satisfaction. That there are people doing something so terrible.
Grown Ups 2, we said almost every episode of the first season, do not watch the movie. It's like this movie is at a level where I kind of think you should. This thing almost has to be seen to be believed.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you, Tim. I think it is imperative at this juncture, just because if you haven't watched Sex and the City 2 and you've been following the journey this season, I imagine it's just this really dark, like it's just once a week for half an hour you just experience this really sort of deep sense of despair and upset. And I think context is important because it's not giddy insanity. It's a really dark sort of feeling. And I agree. I had that thought independent from actually getting around to watching the film this week. I did think to myself, I feel like at some point we should announce to everyone, watch the movie.
Yeah.
Understand.
I feel like this is it. I feel like it's finally at the point. Because I hear you, like mostly the emotions that get recorded on this podcast are two beaten down, world-weary men who have just had enough and are at the end of their tether. But you know what? I'm fucking fired up this week, man. I am legitimately angry the movie exists.
Yeah, I think watching it apart from each other forced a level of it was almost, I don't know. At points it was almost like meditation. Like I found it so exhausting and ongoing that it almost forced me into it was meditation almost, like introspection, because I didn't want to be engaging with it. You could watch two stand-up specials in a fucking episode of Seinfeld in the time we watched Nothing Happened to Four Terrible People. You could watch 7 episodes of South Park. It's so broke, and everything about it's all the script. Zoe's right to maniacally laugh at everything that's offered. Like Michael Patrick King pretty much went up to Charlotte and he said, "Okay, as soon as we get to in New York, all I want you to do, I just want you to take everything literally and be upset at everything. That's your direction." And he goes, "Okay, I can do that." And then he's like, "Okay, and now you're in the Middle East, and all I want you to do while we're shooting here in Morocco is just look at your phone. That's all I want from you." And Miranda, all I want you to do is just pretend to read Lonely Planet travel guides about the United Arab Emirates. I don't want anything more from you. I know it seems insane because we're throwing a lot of money at this movie and we're going to piss off a lot of people, but this is all I want you. Anything more is too much.
There's no emotional engagement. There isn't even the one thread that they could have pulled at in this film to get it across the line is the friendship element by making this a buddy film that's got 4 parts instead of the usual 2.
Yeah.
But at every turn, these women are turning on each other. They're accusing each other of their marriages falling apart. They're awful, self-absorbed women.
they're talking across each other the whole movie. Like someone presents a huge personal problem they're having, and then whoever is next to them just correlates it to a personal problem that they're having. No one resolves either of the other person's issues. It's just like, oh, you're doing that? Well, I'm struggling with this. It's just four people.
But it's even worse than that, because it's not like, oh, you're doing that, I'm doing this. It's just the person presents their problem, and then the camera pans to the next person, and they present their problem without any acknowledgement whatsoever that the person even spoke before. It's like, it's inhuman the way that they're communicating.
Yeah, it's not. Well, yeah. Whew. I feel like I'm still impassioned by how much I didn't enjoy that, but I feel like I've at least released some of it.
Well, just while I mentioned that Zoe watched the first bit of the film as well, I can tell you something for free. Zoe was legitimately very concerned by that baby crying as passionately and often as Rose does in the film. Charlotte's daughter is legitimate. That is a small child, and she is very much crying real tears.
There's no doubt about it. We've alluded to it vaguely in the past, but I mean, Michael Patrick King was definitely paying certain crew members extra pocket money to taunt the baby. To say, no, you can't even do basic maths, you stupid fucking baby. Look at your dumb baby face. Whatever insults they could muster.
Zoe was getting real upset by how, like, obviously upset that baby was. Like, it was, she felt uncomfortable watching it crying all the time.
No doubt. And like, what got me right, and so the scene where the baby's visibly upset is when Charlotte's baking 10 million cupcakes for some after-school event.
Actually she said, why is she making all those cupcakes? And I said, it is never addressed. And she just started cracking up.
It is vaguely addressed. She says, well, yeah, first of all, the reason she's baking the cupcakes is because it makes the set look good. It makes it look like something's happening in this fucked up universe.
That's not a reason.
It is. She's got, well, no, it's the actual reason though. She goes, I'm baking these cupcakes for the after-school event tomorrow. Like, whatever garbage reason Michael wrote into the script when he was 3 bottles of whiskey and 10 cigars and 5 blunts deep in his fucking awful journey into the recesses of his broken brain. But... So she says she says, I'm doing this. And she says her daughter, is it not Rose? Who's the other one?
Lily.
Lily's like, Mommy, look what I did. And she's like, hold on, sweetie. Mommy's just making these cupcakes for the after school event. But that's not even the focus. The focus there is on the phone conversation. The only time her attention is broken from talking on the phone to Carrie it's nothing to do with parenting. It's everything to do with when her skirt or whatever gets destroyed. And then Charlotte's character it's fucking not even one-dimensional. It's like so then when her and Miranda are having a drink, when like Charlotte supposedly dumps all of her feelings about motherhood onto Miranda as like a release.
That scene fucking
everyone goes through
this this week.
Yeah. Do you know what the line? So Miranda's like, being a mother is hard, and then Charlotte says, yes,
but the benefits
make it worth it. That's not something a human being says.
Ever. That line stuck out like a sore like a big baboon's red bare naked ass at the zoo this week for me as well. Because I was like, no one has ever said that. That is not something that someone would ever say. It's so unnatural, robotic, cold, and like a machine trying to emulate human emotion. It's like Michael Patrick King is an AI android who has been sent from the future to destroy us, and he's trying to like guess how emotional beings talk. It's so calculated and weird. It's pretty this like odd numerical kind of mathematical language.
Yeah. He just punched it through a random emotion generator.
Fuck, it's an odd line. Jesus Christ. Hey, I'll tell you something though, and this can be my shining light this week because I got a lot of joy out of it. So the way that it worked, folks, is Guy and I synced up to start the movie at the same time and then turned all of our devices to flight mode, as is the rules, as is tradition. And I actually got a minute out of sync because I rewound a bit of the movie because this week I saw Miranda's housekeeper fully barrel the camera. Like, she looked straight down there. And the shot that goes to her when... Also, the thing I noticed just before they go to her, so it's at the school when Brady's presenting his mouse maze.
Yeah.
The kickoff point for him becoming the Rat King. And you know when they announced that some random girl, Rachel, has just won second place, like off mic.
What
but
is
the big
static
voice,
electricity?
yeah, you know the line, you know it. So Miranda's housekeeper is fucking stoked that she has got that silver medal. Like, she is clapping and grinning. For Brady, nothing. No emotion. But for Rachel, getting that second place award at the science fair.
Because the housekeeper fears
ecstatic.
Brady.
Yeah, rightly so. But
because who knows more about Brady than the housekeeper? She's doing all of the work. Steve's busy working on his far-fetched schemes. Miranda's off bloody gallivanting around a workplace she's not given any respect. The housekeeper's pretty much single-handedly rearing this child into the absolutely terrifying oligarch he is. So she's like, he wins something. She's like, oh no. Yeah, she speaks like Yoda when she's worried. Oh no.
Up.
I had a
next week you've got to look for the bit where she barrels the camera while they're there in the science fair.
I absolutely will. It's the thing is, because I thought about how many extras this movie has. Or like just there's so many people thrown into the camera for texture in place of any heart or storyline or whatever. Like, it's like, maybe if we put if at all times, you know, in scenes that aren't just the four ladies, maybe if we put 20 people in the background out of focus on screen, people will think this movie is a human heart. It's a very cunning trick by Michael Patrick King. I don't know that it works. And like when the ladies are singing karaoke, and the Middle East are singing "When I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar," I was just constantly like, there are people, because, you know, conceivably they rally and unite the entire karaoke bar with their enthusiasm for the song, and they get everyone up and bloody dancing around together or whatever. I was just looking for people who weren't enjoying it, and you get flashes of a few. But there was one guy at the end of it who's just sitting like next to the rugby players, who's just sitting there smoking a cigarette. And I was like,
I've never seen him.
He's a saboteur. He's an audience surrogate. He's sitting there smoking a cigarette like, yeah, okay, we fucking get it. Can we move this thing along? Because you are killing me right now.
He's from the French team. He's undercutting the whole integrity of the scene, and I love him for it.
He's like, yeah, I absolutely respect it. Any extra you find in this movie who's not enjoying themselves, they're more representative of the movie than whatever the finished in-focus product is. They're the actual
real
reflection.
Heroes.
That's right. And then, if we're doing Shining Lights, I'll do my Shining Light for you as well, which was...
Hold on. Sorry. Before you get into that, just while you're on the rugby teams, for some reason this week I got very passionately annoyed that New Zealand does not feature in the Rugby World Cup trials. Because we didn't brought that up.
Do you know why? Because the New Zealand rugby team got called up to go to the Rugby World Cup trials, and they're like, do you know what? We know a lot about the Rugby World Cup, and this is definitely a scam. There's no way in God's green earth we're sending our rugby team to the Middle East for something called the trials, which don't even exist. That is fucking... to play practice matches, no less. Practice matches at a trial? No. Fool me once, which you didn't do. Shame on you. Fool me twice, which you're definitely not doing. Go fuck yourself, Michael Patrick King. This is insane.
I like it. So sorry, onto your shining light.
It was Runkle, the hero, Uncle Runkle of the Runkle Crunkle. It's at bath time. He's bathing Lily or Rose with the nanny, and
Rose,
Charlotte's sort of peeking in from the corner, worrying about everything in her life, namely how in fuck's name she's going to deal with the wave of negative press this movie is surely going to receive upon release. And Runkle, old Uncle Crunkle goes, so Lily, is it Lily? No, it's Rose, the young one. She's
Rose is the little one.
Yeah. And she's sort of upset or whatever, and they've got all these toys. Some of the nanny are bathing her, and they're trying to encourage her to have a good time. And he sort of says at one point, he goes, "Oh, what's that gonna do?" Like just off mic to to Rose when she's playing around with the toys. And when he says, "What's that gonna do?" she picks up the shower head and then splashes the nanny's tits and then through a white top, and they become see-through. And then he's like, "Whoa!" Like whoop! Like just the fact that the line was, "Oh, what's that gonna do?" "Whoa, titties!" was pretty much the reading I had of that.
Those are the beats. What's that going to
anytime-
do? Whoa, titties. All right.
Yeah. Anytime you can read something from the film outside of the context of what was intended, it is a tremendously satisfying experience. I just feel like I'm emptying so much emotion into this microphone right now. It's phenomenal.
I noticed a line which I'd never heard before when a collection of harpies are at the breakfast table once they've landed in Abu Dhabi. And it's that bit where there's just like the complete feast and laid out in front of them. And Sarah Jessica Parker says, "Oh, I'm just going to try one of these confections." And just no one responds. No one blinks a fucking eye because that line was not in the script. Sarah Jessica Parker's ad-libbing, and as an executive producer on this film, no one's going to tell her not to. It's a dumb line. They don't do anything with it, but it made it to the film.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Oh,
it's just one of many examples of just these little moments where it's like, oh God, that made it in, did it? All right, very well.
Yeah,
on we go.
It's not quite the same, but one that killed me this week as well was when Garon at the halfway point is making warm milk for SJP to help her sleep because she's too dumb to turn off her fucking bedside light. He's like. Oh, he's like, may I suggest putting cinnamon in your milk? It's a secret my wife taught me. It's like, that is what? That's not a secret.
I see you're eating French fries. Let me add a little salt. It's an old family recipe that's been passed down for generations.
Where did you learn this tip? It's fucking ridiculous. It's just it all just weaves into the tapestry of garbage, which we seem to fucking ram down our brains every week. I gotta say, Tim, I think there's been merit in watching it apart, at least, in that we were both forced just head on to confront this beast, because we're so it's just
there was nothing else. We weren't there for each other this week because we couldn't be, because distance has truly gotten in the way, and there was no internet, which is usually the fallback plan when I'm lonesome and got some time to kill. There was nothing. There was me in the movie in a room.
Yeah. It's as close to the cinema
I feel for
experience.
you though. At least I had a lovely another human being to keep me company for the first 30-ish minutes, but you were worse off than me.
I probably paced my bedroom upwards of 20 times. I did 100 push-ups. I haven't done a push-up in like a year. I was literally all over the shop. I was talking to myself quite a lot. It's like
it's all things that you do when you get sent to jail, man. Like literally everything you've just described is the behavior of a prisoner.
And I think also in watching it myself, I learned what has been so difficult about this for how many other weeks we've been doing it, is that it's so it's so consistently, ongoingly, offensively bad that you can't you can't launch a full scale assault against the movie because it's because of the length. It dilutes your disdain over just such an unbelievably long amount of time that you like. It almost disarms you in its length.
It's like if you were to get someone and rough them up a little bit, they would get really shirty with you back. If you were to get someone and like fight with them, they would be rightfully really pissed off and outraged. If you torture someone for like 3 days, you don't let them sleep, you keep flicking the lights on and off, you keep kind of punching them in bits where it sort of doesn't bruise too easily, so they're untraceable marks and stuff. You take away their food, you kind of dehydrate them a bit, and you disorientate them. They can't really complain because their facilities have been taken away from them. And I don't want to get too melodramatic. I feel like I already have with that metaphor. But this movie is the cinema equivalent to that.
I'm usually all for calling out your ludicrous comparisons between our plight and the plight of people who actually suffer through real things. But in the context of what has just happened to me, I'm fully on board with anything you can fucking throw against this movie.
All right, well, listen, I think I can hear something musical off in the back. Scooby-Doo, go. Where's he?
What's he doing?
What's he going?
What
Where's he
is
off
that
to?
brand of caffeine? Before we launch into exactly what's going on vis-a-vis the caffeine situation in New York City this week, I noticed a very gentle continuity error.
Yes,
Re coffee guy, which was so in the establishing shot of the cafe when Carrie's like, I just need to write, and she's like, and I did write for about 1 hour before I just went and saw my friends because life's a joke and who gives a fuck. Coffee guy's sitting at his coffee table, and one of the and a waitress comes up to him to take his order, or whatever, and she sort of leans down, to suggest intimacy and interest in what he actually wants to drink, and then it cuts to maybe Samantha and Carrie, or a double or a single shot on one of them, and he's in the background, and then she leans down again, and it's not even worth bringing up, but I noticed it, and I've just brought it up, and I was like, brilliant. Just more things that are wrong with the movie.
Wait, what do you mean? So what's the problem?
So the waitress, well, conceivably she could have leaned back up and then leaned back down, but I think that'd be a weird gesture.
I see. Oh, so she's at like a different level. She's at a lower level.
I worked in hospo before. You approach your table, you lean in to be like, I'm going to hear what you're ordering. I'm ready to serve. At no point,
back out.
You maybe do it in two separate engagements, but in one engagement, to come in, lean down, stand up, lean back down, unless maybe the cafe's loud and she didn't hear him. But the cafe's not that loud. Anyway, it's neither here nor there.
Well, Guy, interestingly, that's so weird that you bring that up because I've got a theory about what he's doing this time.
Unbelievable, do you?
Yeah, no, and it fits perfectly with what you're putting down. So that waitress that you're talking about, she leaves immediately after he does. He is fucking that waitress. He's fucking her in a caffeinated frenzy in the toilets right there at the cafe. He's pounding her.
That's right. They both have a unique proclivity towards a very specific type of sex, which might even go so far to as explain the introduction for this weekly segment in our podcast. Obviously, it's a well-known fact that caffeine can have a laxative effect. The popular parlance that coffee went straight through me.
Yes.
I like to think that the reason he's ingesting so much caffeine at such speed, and she's doing the very same off of camera, is they're in a fucking frenzy which involves more or less every known substance that a human body can produce. They're going, sometimes you walk into a public restroom and it is just destroyed. For instance, I was lucky enough to be I was in Paris just this week and I was with my girlfriend and we didn't go up it because it was insane, but we at least visited. We walked beneath the Eiffel Tower. And at one juncture, we both had to use the facilities. And we went to a restroom, and it was, I don't know if anyone from the Parisian Tourism Board is listening to this, but it was an absolute bomb site in there. There was let's just say there was fecal matter, not abound, but certainly present. The vibe was not good. Almost as though this very couple maybe had saved up their pennies and began marauding travels across the land of Earth, and maybe even earlier that day visited the bathroom and been the root cause of the disgust which we felt.
Well, sounds plausible to me. Put a pin in it because this one's done. I think we're going to call it there actually, Guy. It's 1 a.m. in New Zealand. I'm going to go to bed.
Fair enough, mate. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in Edinburgh. My first day in Edinburgh, and I couldn't have found a better way to spend it.
I've stolen a lot of your time.
No, mate. I do not blame you. I blame MKP. Just as a quick note to anyone who's listening who might be in the UK or have the intentions of visiting, Edinburgh's during the festival, I will be doing a show every day with my colleague Rose Matafeo at 4:30 at Espionage. It's called Rose Matafeo and Guy Montgomery are Friends, and the price of entry is $0, which I can assure you, even if the show is atrocious, is a very reasonable deal.
He's not lying, folks. If you've got any friends or family who are in Scotland, get them to go, particularly if they are dropping in on the Edinburgh Fringe. Guy's a funny man. And Rose is lovely. You've heard her on the podcast from season 1. She's great. So let's get it done, people. Let's get it done.
Also a hilarity merchant. Between the two of us, I'll do half an hour of jokes. She'll do half an hour of jokes. It will comprise 1 hour of human time, which means, on any given morning or afternoon, you could still nip away and watch Sex and the City 2 just to understand the context of what exactly is going on right now. Thank you so much for listening, Tim. I bid you a wonderful sleep.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your afternoon in bonny old Scotland, mate.
Aye!
It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time. It's the worst idea of all time.